We want to get right to that breaking news tonight. One man has been arrested following an incident that happened at Independence Mall just before Christmas. Zyman Johnson is under arrest for his alleged part in the incident. Johnson is accused of bringing a rifle into Independence Mall on December 23rd. That sent several shoppers and their families running. Warrants accuse Johnson of pulling the assault rifle pistol out of his jacket during an altercation with some other people. He's accused of carrying a concealed weapon, going armed to terror of the people, and disorderly conduct in a public building. He's being held under a $30,000 bond and is expected in court tomorrow morning. 4 other men were also arrested the day of the incident.